You know, we should all be getting tired of what I call the Psaki Doocy Chronicles, where Doocy uses these press conferences to push right-wing talking points, and she constantly have to slap them down. Today, as usual, she did a great job of slapping them down. But I wonder if it's time for us to stop calling on him because he put into the mind. Well, let's go ahead and listen to the press conference between him and her, and then we'll take it on the other side.
First on the jobs report, if the economy is so great and you guys are celebrating jobs being created at
Wouldn't you say over 900,000 jobs created is pretty good?
So this is my question. Why then is the president still pushing for big relief packages, pandemic era relief packages like the eviction moratorium?
Well, first I would say one of the biggest pieces of legislation he's pushing for, as we know, is the infrastructure package and also the Build Back Better agenda. Most of the components in those packages are long-term investments. They're overdue. They're meant to modernize our infrastructure, put people back to work over the long term, and make us more competitive over the long term. It is still a reality, even with a good jobs number this month, and even with 4 million jobs created over 6 months, that there are still people out of work. There are still people who don't have enough money to make ends meet. That's one of the reasons why we designed the American Rescue Plan to have a long-term, spread-out impact, whether it's the child tax credit or benefits that are going to schools that are spread out over the course of a year, because we are still in a recovery.
Back to school question. Florida's Governor DeSantis says that he may start withholding funds from school districts that don't let parents opt out of policies that require masks in the classroom. Does the president think that parents should have that kind of power?
Well, I think I've spoken to this a few times, but I will say, as a parent myself of 2 young children, that I want public health officials to make decisions about how to keep my kids safe, not politicians. And not only is Governor DeSantis not abiding by public health decisions, he's fundraising off of this. So my view is that, and our view as an administration, is that parents in Florida, parents across the country should have the ability and the knowledge that their kids are going to school and they're in safe environments. That shouldn't be too much to ask.
He says that his concern is about harmful emotional, academic, and psychological effects of putting kindergartners in masks for hours at a time. Is there any concern from officials that you guys talked to in your early pre-decisional discussions about that?
No, there's not. And I will tell you from personal experience, my rising kindergartner told me 2 days ago she could wear a mask all day, and she's just happy to go to camp and go to school. And the objective from all of our public health officials has been clearly, and our Secretary of Education, kids need to be in school. We know there's a mental health impact of them not being in school, and we should take the mitigation measures needed in order for them to be in school and in the classroom, including masking and including allowing that to be part of a reality in these schools to keep the community safe.
Now, I think Jen Psaki was great, but I think at this point, just like Doocy is attempting to be political, she needed to put a little political jibe in there, a political jab in there. And what should she have said? She should have said, do you realize that Governor DeSantis is raising money by risking the lives of Floridians? Have you realized that he is raising money by putting your kids at risk? That is what she should be saying. Now, when he comes and he talks about the economy and he tries to downplay how great the job numbers were, she did come back and say, wait a minute, aren't you saying that's good? But he was ready for that comeback at last. But I mean, of course, it wasn't a good one because he then said, well, do you still want the infrastructure projects? And then she said, of course, because this stuff, the economy has not been good for all. But again, we are giving him, in as much as she whack-a-moles him down every single time, we are giving him a platform for those who may be still a bit trastornados in the mind, limited in the mind, that somehow there's plausibility to what Governor DeSantis is doing by putting his people at risk and by being completely irresponsible and causing the deaths of many Floridians. By allowing him to speak, it gives a little bit of traction to those. And likewise, it gives a little bit of traction to those who may question masking, etc. So maybe it is time for us to put a little bit of limits to the questions that we allow him to ask. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.